Hi, Somerset County. Welcome to the Scoop Podcast. My name is Chris Edwards. Thanks for joining us today. Today, I want to first off by thanking our three longtime sponsors to the podcast. I want to thank Unity Bank, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset, and the organization to help build the podcast studio for us, Techie Geek, who you'll be hearing more about as we go through. And if you haven't caught our latest podcast with RWJ, please go to our YouTube page or Spotify and check that out. I have a very fun guest and a fun topic to talk about today. So we are joined by Olivia Manning, Chief Marketing Officer for Wavelength Audio Video and Manning Entertainment, on top of numerous other responsibilities and titles. We can just make them up today since when we were asking, you're like, it could be anything you want.
It doesn't matter.
But welcome to the podcast, Olivia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure. I think certainly our members, whether they're active or not, I'm sure they've seen you a number of different stops here as a member of the partnership. So I want to talk about a number of different things today. But first off, I want to start with Wavelength. Obviously, you were a sponsor of our golf outing, but I think people probably might know Wavelength without knowing Wavelength, over whether it's the toy store, Back to the Future, those number of things. So can you give us a little background on the business you and your husband have?
Oh, man, it's a 20-year history. So, my husband started it almost on a whim. He was working in car detailing, and some of his clients asked him, like, hey, can you hang my TV? And it essentially started in that way. And he would hang more TVs, and then they needed music, and then they needed control. And then, technology evolved all those years, and it just grew into so much more than that. And in the last 10 years especially, it has become more automation and control systems and voice activated and all that, crazy stuff that folks are either doing themselves in their homes or having this opportunity to really customize whatever they want their house to do.
So when did the business, you said about 20 years ago?
Yeah, 2005.
Was that when, I guess, flat screens becoming more predominant? I always think my grandfather had the first big screen in the family, and it like literally was the whole living room, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm sure
and
that's...
the plasmas as well were the big thing. And they were very expensive at the time.
Yep.
And now it's just a thing of the past because the evolution of technology is just insane. And just TVs are just so common mainstream that forget TVs. People are putting projectors in their house with pull down screens.
Oh, yeah.
Making the whole thing just become an experience of life rather than just, sitting down and watching TV like we used to do as kids, right?
I think that's something you and I can both appreciate is, how can we get the kids to relax and be calm for a little bit? Let's put on a movie. So now you have to put on a movie experience, right?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
I know my boys don't really know the movie theater. I mean, they've gone, but they don't know it as the nostalgia. I know it. But I think a big part of that is because the home experience has completely changed. Now... From a business standpoint, have you seen, maybe out of the pandemic, has that whole push to go from like a home office, a nice home office setup, has that impacted your industry as well? Is that part of maybe what people are looking for?
Yeah, immediately after COVID, it was just one Wi-Fi network after another.
Right.
It was just, I need to work from home. I need my kids to do their homework and their schoolwork from home. Like everybody's at home, everyone's tapping into the Wi-Fi, and so it's just getting maxed out. So immediately after COVID, it was just a massive surge of Wi-Fi networks that we were installing. Not to mention experience spaces like we were just talking about, right? Like basements were getting rebuilt and renovated, and outdoor spaces were getting customized with resort style audio, right? Where you walk anywhere and everywhere and it's just the same music, right? Which is easily done. Landscape lighting, all of that. And so we really just dove right into creating those experiences for people. And now we're seeing a little bit of a shift where AI is really taking a little bit more of a hold on people's lives, right? They can do it themselves. Right. So we're seeing a lot of that DIY component, but for us, we are so focused on the customizable aspect of things, right? When you're doing you walk in your front door and you push a button and it turns the lights onto a perfect amount. It puts your favorite radio station on. It gets the temperature set to the perfect temperature, and you're ready to go in the kitchen and start making dinner. Without anything but the touch of a button.
Yeah.
So the programming and all of that involved with that is never cookie cutter for us anymore because it's customized to every single home, every single lifestyle, and everything that people want to do.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite amazing. And for some people, it's maybe scary, the idea of Skynet. It's not really happening, right? Like it's very powerful, but I don't think Skynet is going to take over,
That's always been, I'll never forget, I had a former boss, and we were driving on the Parkway, and she was driving with me, and I went through Easy Pass, and she was like, "Oh, I can never do Easy Pass. Like the government's going to track, where and when you are." And I'm just like, man, you must be a lot more important than I thought. And I always think about that when it comes to technology too, of like, I think companies are interested in marketing, right? Like you see, like I know, like you mentioned TV, like Vizio and Walmart have partnerships. You have these companies, like that's an uneasy thing from an advertising standpoint. But I think there's also that when you talk about entertainment and experiences, like I just feel like there's the cool experience that you get. Like there's a trade-off you have there, but I think we shouldn't be afraid of that type of technology and experience. And I think that's a cool part of personalizing a house these days. It used to be like putting up kids' portraits or nice pictures. Now it's like, what's the tech, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's framed TVs. It's built into the screen, and you can just have those pictures rotate on your TV screen, or you can have artwork up there and make it part of your environment rather than just this glaring box that's just hanging on your wall. So it's just so much more than that, and I think people need to focus on the idea of technology being something that just kind of falls by the wayside. It's there in the background. It shouldn't be so obvious, and if it is obvious, then maybe there needs to be some sort of tweak or change in what you have so that you can make it work for you and that it's flowing and seamless when you're at home rather than being an eyesore or difficult to work with. And you still have 16 remotes on your table and you don't know which one to use. And, I let so-and-so do it because they know how to work it. That's the problem that we're hoping to solve is really making it as seamless as possible, that it's just in the background. It's not really something that's just like, oh, in your face, this is technology right there. So.
And I know a lot of Manning Entertainment focuses on experiences, but also specifically nostalgia experiences. And I'm one that pretty much anything you put 1990s in front of me, I'm like all in on these days, kind of trying to relive my youth. But can you talk about kind of where technology meets? Technology's in everything, but I think people are also longing for a sense of the past. How do those two blend with each other?
They don't. And that's the crazy thing. I think the nostalgia concept is so prevalent today because we're so inundated with the technology that I think subconsciously we all want to break.
Right.
And so when you walk into our toy store, for example, that's my collectible in Bernardsville, New Jersey. Shameless plug. When you walk in, you're almost like hit by this wave of nostalgia where you're like, oh my God, I played with that when I was a kid.
Yep.
The G.I. Joe or the My Little Pony or the Rainbow Bright sitting on the top shelf. Sorry, I mentioned things that I played with most. My husband, if he were here, he'd be talking about the Transformers and the He-Man and, all of that. And it's the actual action figures that folks played with when they were little, and we acquired some of those collections, and there's some revisions of those that are newer in box, but it hits you like a huge wave. And same thing with one of our other businesses. We own a full-scale time machine replica DeLorean from Back to the Future. So fans out there, it's so fun. But when people see the car, especially driving it down the highway, it's like near accidents all the time because they're just like, oh my God, and they're taking videos of pictures and, it's kind of dangerous. But at the same time, it's that feeling of like, oh God, like that's what life was like a long time ago. And I didn't have a phone in my hand and I didn't have a tablet in front of me and I didn't have all that. And it just seemed, I guess in a way, it seems so much more simple, right?
Yeah.
So there's that disconnection of like being able to be a human again. And I think that's a big part that people are looking for. The technology and all of that is amazing. It's wonderful, and it works for you when you're using it and when you need it. And then there's this other thing that just allows you to have a break.
Yeah, yep. We were talking off camera before about movies and stuff. Last year, actually, my wife and I went to Back to the Future. I guess it was the 40th anniversary re-release in the theater, and I was too young to see it in the movie theater, but just I think all these movies. I had a friend who told me they went to see Top Gun. I think Top Gun had their 40th anniversary this year. You know, it's like that type of nostalgia. And to your point, it's not that isn't technology based, right? It's basically seeing it how our parents saw it, right? You know, 40 years ago. And I think there's certainly something to that. And I imagine, you know, it's to me, it's not about a certain decade, because I think you know, our kids will be looking at the 2020 period as like, you know, thinking COVID was like an interesting experience or something like that, not the hellscape we thought it was at the.
Seriously, oh my gosh.
Welcome. This is Kevin from Printing and Promos Plus. Need print solutions that deliver? From business cards to banners, custom apparel, and promotional products, we have it all to make your business stand out. Contact Kevin at printingandpromosplus.com.
So, well, look, your experience, a lot of your background is in marketing. I want to pick your brain a little bit on marketing. And I think one of the biggest issues our members come to us with, whether they come to us or maybe they don't, because sometimes we find out just by what they sign up for, you know, what they ask questions about. Maybe they're not saying, hey, Chris, you know, I need help with marketing. I'm a small business owner, but it's certainly the most apparent thing. And I think one of the things that we see is small business owners, especially ones that maybe they do have a storefront, they're in a downtown, so they kind of look at that and they go, okay, well, my marketing is my sign right out front, and that's it. That's what I invested in, right? And I think we know, like, it's just not as easy as that. You know, can you talk a little bit about, you know, how does a company find its way, you know, through the current state of where business is?
That is
very big question.
It is, and the answer is going to be different for everyone, because for me, and other marketers may think differently, but for me, I've found the most success in encouraging folks to explore why. Why did you start this to begin with? What was the whole purpose of you creating this business? And understanding that and realizing that everyone is not your market. Knowing exactly who the people are that need to walk in your door. Right. And making sure that whatever your promotional campaigns are, whatever you're doing, whether it's social media or emails or what have you, right? All of those are targeted specifically towards those people. Because if you continue to go down the path of like, okay, here's my sign or here's my website. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I see that are just like, oh, well, I built a Shopify website. How come I'm not getting any sales? Yep. Well, Shopify isn't going to do anything for you. They're just building the platform that you can create your site off of, but you need to tell people that it's there, right? The idea of I will build it and they will come. I get it. You probably have a really great idea, but it's an idea that people need to know about. So how are you going to share that with them? And sadly, I see marketing being the first thing to be cut from the daily list of things to do, because we're, as business owners, overwhelmed by all the daily tasks, right? So we forget to do the marketing, or we don't have money left over to do the marketing. But that's one of the most important pieces, because how are people going to know you exist if you don't tell them that you're there? Social media, I'm sure, is like the one thing, too, that a lot of members will come to you about
absolutely.
as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough, even for us. Like, oh, gosh, what do I post today? Right? But as long as you are still passionate about why you even started your business, and you always go back to that, then that can help hopefully inspire you to be able to do the work that you need to do to tell people, hey, I have this awesome service, product, whatever the case may be. This is why you need it, or this is why you should buy it from me, or, you know, whatever the individual case may be. So, you know, marketing, it's funny because over the years it has shifted quite a lot as far as how you do it. But why you're doing it and the purpose behind it is always sort of that baseline. Yeah. You know, you always have to continue doing it that way.
And I think it's funny. I think we can tie in what we started talking with this, because I do think there is customer base out there that it's not nostalgia that they're looking for, but they remember being in their parents' car when they had to get their VCR fixed, or, you know, had to go into downtown to grab a pair of shoes or something like that. And they still want that experience, but they have to find the right, you know, the business has to be out there talking to that as well. So I think, do you find, you know, in the businesses do you run, like, people, they see your why, they see the passion for what you do. that sometimes is enough. Like, you don't need to put a $10,000 a month marketing package in when people can see what you care about.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now more than ever, we are really craving the human connection.
Yep.
Right. So if you're going to walk into a store, there's a purpose, right? Or you connect with the person that's running the business or working there or whomever is there. That's a big part of it. I mean, for our businesses, we have 2 businesses, brick and mortars, in the same town. One, we never see a soul walking in. The other one, when we're open, we can't move around the store. There's so many people in there.
Yep.
It's like you just mentioned, the idea of the nostalgia, the toys, all the things, it almost brings back the memories of driving somewhere and having to go get something at a store. So people are almost seemingly want to drive and go in and see it and touch it and hold it and see for themselves. Whereas for Wavelength, we get the phone calls, we get the emails, we have the technology already on that side where we get business through those channels rather than foot traffic. So
people are going in to Wavelength knowing what they want, right? It's almost a formality at that point, right? Because they've probably done their research and they feel like if they're in the store, they're committed at that point.
Yeah. And a lot of times, there's nothing. I mean, we have displays and we have experiences that you can listen to the music on a specific Sonos speaker or what have you. But it's not necessary because a lot of times people already know what they want.
Right.
My Wi-Fi keeps dropping out. I need it fixed. My TV. The kids threw the ball at it. It's broken. I need a new one, right? I need something more outside. Whatever those requests are, they essentially know what they need. And then we go in and say, well, we can do A, B, and C. And then you can pick and choose, whatever works for you and your budget. And so that business is a little bit more us going to the customer, whereas the toy store folks just come straight to us. And it's just amazing to see just so many people walking in the door and just their faces light up and they're just so happy because that's just what what people want. That human connection is so important today.
Well, look, I wish I had known you in 2020 because my wife was teaching her kindergarten class from upstairs. I was down in meetings, and I can't tell you how many times the Wi-Fi went out, and it takes 30 minutes to kick back in. So she would get back in and just be like, okay, well, class is over. Okay, I'm gone.
Right.
We totally could have used that, but. I want to get you out of here. I know how well you know this county, so I need to put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite place to eat in Somerset County?
Oh my gosh.
Favorite restaurant?
It's really difficult to narrow it down because we have so many favorites.
You can give us a couple. And don't worry, it doesn't matter if they're members or not.
I'm not worried about that part. I just want to give you a good recommendation. We live and breathe in Burnsville, so we have favorites there for sure. Yep. Probably my favorite is going to be Bistro 73. They are an incredible dining experience, and they have their little outdoor little spot, which is super fun and cozy. Definitely one of my absolute favorites. I probably. Oh, man. It's so tough. Osteria Marini was my second favorite there, too. They're like that little hidden gem around the corner. So sometimes friends and I just go there because we know the bar is going to be quieter.
Yeah.
So, you just experience whatever you can.
Get a little New York vibes, too, when you're in there.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
No,
I always love giving that question because I either... get the political, every restaurant's great, or we had one guest who I think gave us a list of 50 restaurants. So it always varies on when we ask that.
Yeah.
And I think, look, we always got to include our tourism part in this too. I think Somerset County recreation is just unbelievable. Do you have a favorite park, favorite recreational activity to go to in the area?
I should have thought about this before. We do really live and breathe in Burnsville because my kids are in Little League right now. So we've been going to our local parks and doing baseball and what have you. And it's always such a joy to do things like that. So I love our space and where we're at, and our little town is just like a magnificent place to be. And I had and still have a passion for my downtown because it's just a wonderful little community. The people are wonderful as well. So it's nice to stick around home and just enjoy. But there's definitely a lot of other spots that, we've been to and just really enjoyed. And I've never really been to anywhere in this county and not enjoyed a space.
No, hey, I
know?
think I always, I don't even, I don't tell anybody. I live in Piscataway, so I'm not a county resident. But I always marvel. My kids are both playing baseball, and it's like, hey, DPW workers, whether it's county or town, do an unbelievable job. That our kids can play on those fields. So
yeah, it's a tough job.
No, I think that's a great one. Well. Before we wrap up, if people want to reach out to you about any of your businesses, if you want to give them another shout out, if you want to, how can people reach out to you? Let them know.
Yeah. Just list the website URLs.
Sure.
Wavelength, we are wavelengthaudiovideo.com. Definitely reach out. You can give us a call if that's something you want to do, if you want to go old school.
Yeah,
definitely pick up the phone.
We love it, yeah.
You can always
good training
text us.
for the employees, too. It's
I
like,
know,
that
seriously.
ringing is the phone.
Yeah, we actually took a phone away recently, too. It's kind of crazy. Toy store, that's mycollectible.com as well. Definitely follow us on Instagram on all the things. Full names written out. We try to be consistent. That's part of my job. Being consistent with your branding is really important. And if you want to follow some Back to the Future fun, we're at Doc's Time Machines. Super fun. Yep. We work with some of the actors from the original movies too. So we just have parties in the parking lot, and it's just a great time. So, those are great ways to reach us, and look forward to continuing great work in Somerset County.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, Olivia.
Thanks,
and Somerset County until we upload again.